Important clues in solving a mystery in Memphis. Who shot and killed young Dolph in his own hometown? This grainy photo released by police shows a person in gray pants and a dark hoodie with gun in hand, apparently firing. Also released a photo of a white car that may be linked to the case. Police have not said where the pictures were taken, but all around Makita's Cookies, where Dolph was shot down, are businesses with security video cameras. Surveillance video will be important to show exactly what happened here, and one camera should have caught it all. This one right above the door here at Makita's Cookies. Pictures will hopefully cause someone to step up and identify who is responsible for gunning down the young rap star. Just 24 hours after his killing, the crowd is still gathering outside Makita's Cookies. People who just want to be near the place Dolph took his last breath. Austin Short parked his truck next door and blasted young Dolph's music for all to hear.
Yo, Gotti, say your prayers. You better say your prayers.
You know they coming, don't you? You know they coming. Show
bro. Hey, bro, that nigga got up there and said, they said, didn't CMG pay for your attorney $50,000? Yeah. But they didn't give it to me. He said, yeah. But they paid for it because you killed Dolph, right? Yeah. Well, that was your compensation, right? CMG said, well, yeah, they gave the attorney $50,000. Yeah, because I killed Dolph. You dead. He was an exec of that company. That's your brother. That's gonna get, that's next. Watch, remember I told you.
But wouldn't it be smart to blame it on the dead man, though?
No, he was part of the company. They saying CMG, they're gonna classify it as a game. They gonna try to target. Now let's do the math. CMG and PRE shooting at the back in the Carolinas. Motherfuckers doing songs, shot the Sprinter 100 times, bulletproof. Dead. PRE, they're gonna take it and paint the perfect movie. These two things are game, and your gang paid this dude's attorney $50,000 because you hired him to do a hit for $100. They coming.
Damn.
I heard that. I said, y'all didn't hear that shit?
Yeah, I heard him when he was testifying.
Oh my God! I said, oh damn.
Dr. Umar Johnson came out a couple weeks ago and provided the controversial opinion that rap culture, and more specifically hip-hop, has never done anything really positive for the black community as a whole. And while I disagree on some level, it cannot be understated how a lot of rap and hip-hop has ushered in a culture of depravity and violence. And some will say, well, that's not hip-hop. But just because you don't like some members of your family don't mean that they're not your family. No matter how you spin it, you can't erase that person or persons from your bloodline. The trail will always connect the dots back to you. And it's the same way when it comes to hip-hop. Violence and the imitation of it by those who claim to be a part of it. You can't disavow rap beef from hip-hop because you don't like the picture that it paints. Now, that said, it's not lost on me that what's happening here with this Young Dolph murder for hire has nothing to do with the art of hip-hop and everything to do with niggas wanting to be mob bosses and manipulating desperate dummies like hamsters on a wheel. So I watched about 3.5 hours worth of footage of this trial. And let me say right off the bat, this was an open and shut case. Right? But the way they did this man, Young Dolph, was so cold-blooded that you would have thought you were watching an episode of BMF. So at the trial, they brought in the medical examiner. 20 injury wounds in total from gunshots to the body. And only 4 of those exited his body. The examiner went on to point out how Dolph was hit in the lungs, the liver, the thoracic aorta, which is the largest vein in the body, responsible for transporting blood to the heart and the rest of the body. He was hit in his jaw, his arms, small intestine, ribs, and vertebrae. Also, he was hit in his wrist and his hand. So for anybody wondering, this was a painful death. And this trial, if nothing else, proved that when you plan to do something like this, it's better to be like Nike and just do it yourself. Because when you don't, you always got to worry about the other shoe dropping. And boy, did it in this trial. They got this young man in that courtroom and he sang like a bird. He told everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. So we're going to see if we can get this story done in under 3 minutes, because I actually have a bigger point that I want to address here, all right? But Young Dolph's murder started way back in 2014 from an apparent beef with the record label CMG, where Yo Gotti is the head guy. The reports say tension started from, get this, Young Dolph going public, saying that he turned down an invite to join the CMG label. Let me say that again. This beef started because one dude said, yo, I don't want to be a part of y'all little group, and then he went and told the world about it. Well, the people over at CMG apparently took exception to this for some reason, and the feud was born. Yes, this was the heart of the rap beef, y'all. Completely and utterly fucking stupid. But let's continue. So the beef starts, which was more so between Yo Gotti's team and Dolph than it was Yo Gotti himself and Dolph. But we eventually end up getting diss tracks from both sides. And this feud starts to boil. All this is happening in Memphis, Tennessee, where Yo Gotti was born and raised. And although Dolph wasn't born in Memphis, he's born in Chicago, he did spend 34 years of his life there in Memphis. So you could say he was very much born and raised there as well. So the feud continues. Dolph takes it further in his diss tracks, one of them titled Play With Your Bitch, alluding to him having relations with Yo Gotti's baby's mom. Really, who gives a fuck about any of that, right? Street shit. Meanwhile, Yo Gotti consistently tries to take the high road in the beginning of this feud. Being the bigger rapper artist and having more on the line in terms of business risk assessment, he continues to try to take the high road and say positive things, right? Until he can't take it anymore and finally fires back in a record of his own titled Don't Beef With Me. Now, this was all surface, okay? I'm saying this was surface level that Yo Gotti was taking the high road. I don't know what was actually happening beneath the surface. None of us do. But let's continue. From there, it only gets more stupid and ignorant in February of 2017. In Charlotte, North Carolina, while Dolph is on tour, he's shot at over 100 times while in his bulletproof vehicle and manages to survive. He doesn't get touched. He's not hit once out of those 100 shots. He then releases a record appropriately titled Bulletproof. Because in rap culture, it's always important to mock your enemies and let them know that they failed in killing you. So apparently this sends what they call street cred into the stratosphere, right? He got shot at 100 times, 100 bullets, survived, didn't get hit once. So what does Team Gotti do? Well, they try, and try again. Bringing us to 2017, when both Dolph and Gotti are allegedly staying at the same hotel. Dolph is actually shot this time, okay? But he survives it. They arrest some dude who's later released on bond, and then the charges are dropped entirely. And from there, in 2019, when the pandemic happens, it appears that cooler heads have prevailed on both sides, as they mostly go silent. But nope. Behind the scenes, goofy niggas from CMG are still plotting the demise of Young Dolph, and there is an alleged bounty put on his head for $100,000 by Anthony Mims, a.k.a. Big Jook, who is Yo Gotti's brother. Well, they find a team of idiots dumb enough to do it, but not for $100,000, okay? They end up doing it for $800. That's right. For a week's worth of pay at Chick-fil-A, 4 goofies were convinced it was a great idea to murder somebody. So now that brings us to 2021. Justin Johnson and Cornelius Smith, the trigger man, see Dolph out on the streets riding around in his very noticeable, very flashy, very known, one-of-a-kind painted and wrapped cars. And he's going to get some cookies. The 2 trigger men pull up, hop out, open fire through the window, hit their target multiple times, and even shoot at him even more when he's on the ground. And then they run off with Dolph's brother returning fire and hitting both of them somewhere on their body. I think one of them got shot in the shoulder. The other one got hit in the leg, right? So they get shot running away after they have effectively gunned down Dolph. And now we're all caught up. Now, it's rare that I disagree with the perspectives on the Joe Budden podcast, but I'm going to play a small portion of it just to give you an idea of why I found their take on this entire incident ridiculous and incredibly weak. And I mean by the entire fucking cast.
Oh, Young Dolph. The Young Dolph murder trial is underway.
A lot happened in that first day.
A lot.
Yeah, that fucked me up.
They're making you not even, man, all of hip-hop is fucking, I know it's not hip-hop.
It's not hip-hop.
But it is hip-hop.
It's not hip-hop.
I know it's not hip-hop, but it is hip-hop. It is.
They just happen to be rappers. You get what I'm saying? It's not hip-hop that's doing it.
The news has marketing budgets that the labels are not giving you. The Dolph shit was some of the most disturbing details that I've ever heard, and I really don't want to hear the details. Hearing that young man say that he murdered Dolph on his daughter's birthday. See, we not watching a doc.
Yeah.
No, I remember when it happened. He was going to get cookies.
We got that. Mm-hmm. I did not need to know that was the killer's daughter's birthday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then when I thought that was enough, the fucking shorty well, why would you do that? And he fucking answered it, and I cried. I've been crying. I've been crying at news clips all week. I promised my daughter a gift, a party. I told I told my daughter's mom that I was about to bounce back and I was shopping sprees and yada yada. You understand, saying, no, that was game. I was just trying to get back in, and I'm sitting there like, yo, is this real? And every time you thought it couldn't get worse, it got worse.
And that's why I said it's not hip hop. That right there is why I said it's not hip hop. Because it speaks to the overall environment and conditions that these niggas are growing up in. It ain't about the music. It ain't about hip-hop that's getting the blame for that shit. It's about how fucked up these people are living and the things that they are having to do out here in these environments. It ain't about rap. Rap is getting a bad rap for that shit.
And that is why I say that it is hip-hop. Because these labels and companies are coming to these neighborhoods that are impoverished, that have a kid fucked up. And this ain't just the story of black men. It's Tekashi's story, too. Dad ain't there. We struggling. You watching mom rub two rocks together. So now, we asked earlier, what's the price that you willing to pay?
How dark?
We come into the neighborhoods where they're willing to pay that price. So yes, I agree with you. The guy goes on to say, they asked him, did you think that this would help you get a record deal with yada, 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 yada? He says, yes. Sure. You killed him. You got $800, another $300, and he wrote you a letter?
I said if you get caught, we're going to make sure you get the best lawyers and all that shit.
And y'all were diligent enough in your murder to immediately hit allegedly Big Jook and say, it's done.
You got it.
Another reason why you should watch these docs to find out how phones work. Why don't we know how phones work?
Nigga, because you at home watching a doc. That's a privilege. We are at home with the ability to watch a doc. These niggas is out in the trenches, bro, trying to figure it out.
I'm sure they've seen an episode of Dateline.
No. There's people that have never seen Dateline in their life.
There's a chip in your phone. There's a chip in your credit card. There's a chip everywhere. There's a white girl on TikTok telling you all the million ways that your vehicle is tracking you.
I don't care. In that moment, I don't care. All that shit make all the sense in the world.
These niggas know what a ping is?
I'm hurting. I'm trying to figure this out.
You said how much money?
Fuck it. We'll deal with that consequence when we get there. Right now, I need to get this bread. And if this was going to get it, I'm going to do it.
And now you got to think about, well, I do. I think about his daughter that he made these promises to.
True. There you go.
Like so many kids.
It's victims on both sides.
Yeah,
it's victims on both. So now your daughter is going to grow up. How? How your daughter growing up? You ain't here.
You know my thing about some black crime, the we just don't think out further. I feel like in the white crimes, or at least how they are seen on television, if one of the mobsters or the gangsters go do that, they live with the fear that something may happen to their kids. Mm-hmm. In this instance, he only doing it for his kid. Fuck the fact that whoever he's doing it to may do something to his kid. Mm-hmm. God forbid, of course. Mm-hmm. But are we not thinking? Thinking these
Joe,
things
there's no
through?
thinking. There's no logic.
Thinking.
Logic is out the window.
Yeah. Yo, we out here in the jungle. We in the jungle, my nigga. Like the lion not thinking about the sheep's kids.
I don't even.
You know what I'm saying?
And also, there's the luxury of long-term thinking.
Sure.
It's like
that's true. Yeah. You're not even thinking that.
You're not thinking.
Nigga, you're not gonna get to enjoy that 40.
No.
Even if you got the 40, you're getting caught. Like you're not thinking anything. It's just, yo, I'm broke.
Yo, you thinking when I get that 40, what am I spending
gonna do?
on?
Yeah,
what am I gonna do with it? That's
already
it's already spent in your brain.
Spent.
You're not even
spent.
thinking further than that.
Nope.
It's not even long-term, short-term thing. It's no thinking. I'm just doing this shit, and let me see what I can do after that.
My baby gonna hopefully have a good birthday.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that sounded like to you, but let me tell you what it sounded like to me. It almost sounded as if they wanted to give these two young men who murdered this man in cold blood and shot up a bakery in broad damn daylight a pardon. Repeatedly, they said how the one guy from the trial who decided that instead of going out and securing a fucking job to make sure his daughter had a great birthday, decided to instead go out and commit murder. Yo, what? Then you have Imani in the background talking about he's hurting. What the fuck is happening here? What am I listening to? Nigga, you knew your daughter's birthday was coming up for a whole year. This wasn't some shit that just sprung up out of nowhere. Your kid's birthday is the same time, same day, every single year. You don't have to guess when it is. You don't have to wait to find out when the celebration is going to pop off, which means at any point throughout the entire year, you could have took your broke ass and applied for a damn job like any one of the other millions of Americans that provide for their kids and celebrate using money that they actually went out and worked for. You know, they earned it. What are we talking about here? These dudes actually sounded like they felt sorry for this idiot because he decided that the best way to celebrate his daughter's birthday was to go out and commit murder. And I guess this is the point where we're all supposed to put on our sympathy hats and talk about how they had no choice because of the fucked up neighborhood they grew up in and how their mentality has been shaped by the system and blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. Cry me a river. I think that y'all give way too much power and credence to the idea of helplessness. And it's some of the weakest shit I've ever seen in my life because the truth be told, not one of these two goofs that agreed to this especially retarded plan of murder for hire have ever, and I mean ever, truly experienced helplessness. They live in the same damn country we do, where everything in our lives and the trajectory of them are often decided by the choices we choose to make, which is why I can never subscribe to the idea that somebody made a dumb decision because it's all they knew. Nigga, did you try to seek out another way? Did you look for another way to do shit? Why are we giving passes to niggas that have all the resources at their literal fingertips in terms of finding ways to do better? I grew up in one of the worst parts of the city during one of the worst eras of the city of Detroit. And even though I was quite literally surrounded by gang violence and shootouts, I never once looked at that shit and said, yo, I want to be a part of that. It's really not fucking hard to choose something else. Y'all just want somebody to pity your weak ass, which is why we got to sit up here and listen to people like Wall Street Trapper pat himself on the back because he changed his life around. Nigga, good for you. But you don't get a gold star from me just because you decided to no longer be a menace to society. It's tons of men that decide not to walk that path every single day. So why should you be highlighted for doing it in the fourth quarter? There's men that have fought and continue to fight those demons their entire lives and have come out of every battle victorious. And here you come talking about, I turned my life around. Okay, congratulations, nigga, but that don't make you special. That spot and title should be reserved for the men that figured out how to get shit done without going that route, without preying on people in their own community, without robbing from people trying to make an honest living, without scamming people in their own community that's been working their ass off at 2 and some 3 jobs just to provide and survive. Those are the men and women that are special, not you niggas. The men that wake up every day and find a way to get it done without taking it from the mouth or table of somebody else. The men that gotta figure out how to legit feed and clothe their sons and daughters, all the while trying not to mentally break because it's been a lifelong battle of struggle fighting against depression and thoughts of self-doubt and failure and thoughts of being worthless as they continue to be told by society that they'll never be counted among those that are worthy of shit. The men that go to work every day and deal with difficult coworkers and difficult bosses and have to constantly exhibit restraint so they don't bust your motherfucking head when you decide to talk crazy to them. All the while they losing the closest people around them year after year with no strong male influences to teach them, but yet they still find a way. Them niggas are the special ones. I could give a damn about somebody who turned their life around. I got a homie who turned his life around a long time ago, and he was in that gang shit. But you don't never hear him talking about it, and you would never know. You would never know talking to him today. You would never know. You know why? Because he don't brag. He don't even like to talk about that shit. He don't sit up there and wear it as a badge of honor because he turned his life around. And now you want some y'all niggas want some acknowledgement for turning your life around. Shut your weak ass up, boy. It costs nothing to be a decent human being. So no, you don't get a plaque for catching up to the standard, to what the standard should be. You don't get a plaque for that. But that's how you know the standard for black culture is in the pits of hell. When Dr. King stood up there and gave the blacks that legendary I Have a Dream speech, I don't think the dream was hearing all you niggas gloat about how you were once so mentally weak-willed and impressionable that you resorted to scamming, robbing, stealing from and killing your own kind as a means of supporting your family. You bitch-ass niggas make me sick with that fake-ass get it out the mud mentality. We was in the trenches. Nigga, shut up. I ain't never heard a grown man with all the freedom and choices in the world that their ancestors never had cry and complain this much about how powerless they are to change the circumstances. Nobody made these two dumbass clowns grab a gun and pull the trigger. They had choices, just like we all do. And you don't get understanding for choosing wrong. This way of thinking is indoctrinated, it's soft. It's soft victimhood. The only trenches these niggas are a part of is the ones where their weak-ass minds are stuck in. And I have no pity for none of you. I'll see you all in the next one. What the fuck?
Whirlwind, my life's been a whirlwind ever since I let go of foundations. I've been watching the world end. Tell me, is there anybody coming? Coming in the name of a savior. The mind is a beautiful tool we can use when the world needs shaping. There when the pain need facing. Going when these hoes need caping. Stood 10 toes, now the woes is awoke and the cage is adjacent. Contemplating doing these drugs, it's a friction of life got me chafing. The fast of the night and the trap is a life and the lights got me chasing. Run around now here alone trying to find me a way, being patient. I'm starving, my heart beating faster. I'm asking what's clocking my chasing. I really wanna prolong death, cause the reaper is waiting. I really wanna watch my step, or do I take a leap of faith in it? Never seen no man make it nowhere being safe. Look me in my face, tell me why you shouldn't crack another safe for me.